Life is stranger than we dare to hope. Life is stranger than we'll ever know.
Jack Anderson was an average man, on an average street, in an average town. He lived a quiet, average life. He mostly kept to himself. As a collector of antiques and other fine trinkets, his home only had room for one. He had no wife or kids, and seemed to be a lonely recluse whose kingdom was his two-story home in everyday USA. Jack spent most of his days browsing in various antique shops and flea markets in the area. On a normal day of looking for the perfect piece for his collection of fine antiquities, he noticed a picture that seemed to give him a sense of déjà vu. Passing by, he glanced and smiled and returned home. His home was filled with many of his finds that others would consider clutter or junk. Many thought his collection of random objects filled a lonely void in his life, and in return he formed a strange attachment to discarded treasures. Walls and shelves were covered with years of hoarding, all but one wall, which was bare and out of place. As days and weeks went on, he could not shake the picture from his mind. It seemed so familiar. All he really had in his life was his objects and his reminiscing of a happier time as a child. As he lay awake most of the night, he decided first thing in the morning he would head to the market and buy the picture. And he planned the perfect place to hang it, on the only bare wall in his home. As he rushed to the store, he had a strange sense of pride and accomplishment, almost like his collection was complete. Most of what Jack collected was nothing like this, a simple portrait of a husband and wife. He had no idea who they were, and he could only imagine they had a happy life unlike his. As a child, Jack's father was in the military and he spent time bouncing all over the world. No time to make friends, only time to collect antiques with his mother on their long days without his father being home. As an adult, he truly had nobody but his objects. He bought the picture and quickly drove home to hang his prized purchase on the last bare wall of his home. The next few weeks were spent in pure bliss, listening to records, dancing around, and gazing at the picture. One Sunday, Jack was startled by a knock at the door, a sound he had never heard in his 40 years at the house. When he opened the door, there stood a short, older man. He told Jack of how he used to live in the house and wished very much to have hot tea one more time in the home he had built for he and his family. Jack hesitated, but allowed him in. Over the next few hours, they visited, laughed, and Jack listened to stories of the war in a much simpler time. Jack invited the old man to a tour of the home to show off as many objects he had acquired over his life. The old man smiled and gazed at all the things he too remembered as a younger man. That is, until he saw the picture that hung alone on the bare wall. The man broke down into tears. It was a photo of he and his wife, on the exact same wall it hung when he had lived in the home long ago. The old man sat down and told Jack of his wife and how she collected trinkets much like those in the house. Their home was filled with collectibles, all but one wall, the wall where they hung their wedding picture. A feeling of panic and confusion overcame Jack. He escorted the man out, but for several days he could not shake the thought of what just happened. That's when Jack decided to do some research. He spent hours and hours going through old papers on the microfiche machine until he came to a front page headline. Man sentenced to death for killing his wife and hiding her remains in a small room in the house. The picture was that of the man who visited Jack. Older, but visibly the same. The victim was the same woman as in the photo. The address was his, and the room where the body was found now stands a wall. The only bare wall in Jack's house, except for a strangely familiar picture hung in the center. Sometimes the spirit world may call out to us for help. Sometimes we are visited by ghosts and don't even realize it. Sometimes we are left speechless. Those moments often make us cringe.
just before dawn. But a smile lurks today where a tear used to stray, and the curtain of darkness is drawn. Every heart is lighter, every smile is brighter. Sad dew is changing to hello again.
No one intervened on behalf of